I now recognize Honorable Kama.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Premier, Honorable members, and the guests in the gallery. Like in Thomas Sankara's words, and I quote, "I hear the roar of women's silence. I sense the rumble of their storm and feel the fury of their revolt." I myself standing here, Speaker, I can feel the fury of the revolt of thousands of women who converge in front of Parliament to say Kwanel. The brazenness with which these evil men kill innocent women and children is really shocking. It is as if it is done with impunity. For this reason, I support calls for the government to impose harsher sentences for all crimes against women and children. It is now to prove to these evil men that South Africa is not a lawless state. The President last week, as other members have said, Speaker, addressed the nation in which he announced additional measures to be implemented immediately to halt these atrocious crimes against women and children. Included in these was the 11 dedicated sexual offenses courts that will be opened this financial year to improve conviction rates. Another was that of overhauling and modernizing the National Register, as said by members of the gender-based violence offenders, to ensure it is effective in combating gender-based violence, and that this register must be made public. The President also stated that rapists and murderers of women and children should get a guaranteed life sentence, and life sentence should mean life sentence, with no possibility of bail or parole. Speaker, another important measure that was announced by the President was that of reviewing all gender-based violence cases that have been closed or that were not properly investigated. This is important because senseless killings did not only start now. Last year, as the minister alluded earlier, we were shocked by high-profile murder cases such as that of Karabo Mukwena, Aviwe Chamcham, and many others. Few years ago, it was the story of Anin Poisin, as mentioned. In 2003, it was Lonam Lofane from Khayelitsha, who was raped and murdered because she was accused of spreading AIDS in the community. While many were convicted, some murderers are still walking free and were never convicted. Speaker, when we marched last week with other young people to Parliament, I was struck by a placard which read, and I quote, that the only thing necessary for evil men to triumph is for good men to do nothing. Speaker, women of this country are continuously abused by men, and as good men, we must take full responsibility and unite to end this carnage. It starts with us here in Parliament, in councils, in all positions of authority, in all the three spheres of government. How we treat women in our offices and organizations will go a long way in changing the attitude of all men in society. On behalf of few good men, Speaker, out there, allow me to convey my heartfelt condolences to the mothers and families who lost their daughters. To the survivors, we say, we have heard your cries. Sitikwanele, you are not alone and must no longer suffer in silence. Speaker, but what we cannot do today is to come here and moan and seem hopeless in the face of those women. We must be able to respond to the call of the debate and say what action must be taken. The President, Speaker, when he addressed the nation, said, and I quote, "We will strengthen the emergency teams at provincial level, which will bring together the police, social development, health, justice, and education to continue providing rapid and comprehensive responses to all forms of violence against women." And today we must be able to say, as a parliament, that the leader of the executive must be able to lead all the departments that are mentioned here to complement the call that is made by the President. Speaker, communal toilets in Khayelitsha have tended to be a place of sexual assaults and femicide, as they most as they are mostly found in areas with no sufficient lighting. We, at this moment, want to call on the MEC of Community Safety to work close and support initiatives like the Uyabonwa project by the Khayelitsha Development Forum. We will also ask the committee to give them an opportunity to present on this project. We're emphasizing the call that was made earlier by Member Baku that all government employees in the province, in government entities, those in the EPWPs, be screened so that we can identify those who are sexual offenders and perpetrators of gender-based violence. Because government cannot be represented by people who, in the face of the people, are perpetrators of such crimes. Speaker, what we're dealing with is not just a policing issue as some are suggesting. We're dealing with a societal problem. It is a deadly problem of men's violence against women and children. Any strategy to respond to this issue should place at the center community involvement. The biggest challenge on the struggle against gender-based violence is that many of these cases are not reported. In some instances, Speaker, they are not reported because the victims are abused by breadwinners at home, who put food in the table and do everything for the family. This makes it difficult for them because they know that the first people who will defend these perpetrators are their parents. They are also going to be defended by the communities because of their social status in the communities. It is for this reason that as the ANC, we support the call that our communities need to be active participants in this. Speaker, the President took the nation into confidence when he said, we will ask the Minister of Finance to allocate additional funding to the national machinery to coordinate our campaign against gender-based violence. As we are approaching the period of budget amendments, and we agree with Deputy President. Masai. Oh, yeah, as we agree with Deputy President in the NCOP when he said the Premier of the Western Cape is a good man. And we're saying he's a good man. Now, as a good man, there's nothing that is stopping him from also complementing what the President is saying and finding money to ensure that in the province these initiatives are supported. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member.